Yeah! Welcome to another episode of 3 Conservative Gimps. We've got a great show today. We are going to talk about um, fossil fuel production because everything is getting very expensive because of what's going on in the Ukraine. We're going to be talking a bit about that and possibly how all of this is going to affect the upcoming uh, gubernatorial elections, midterm elections, and we'll see how all that's going to shake out. Uh, we're going to be one short today. Lloyd couldn't make it today because he's still taking care of Judy, who just had some cataract surgery. So he's taking care of her, so he's very busy. So we'll bring in my other GIMP host all the way, and he's a good Orangeman. Let's welcome Mike Roach.
Hey,
Good to
good
see you, Mike.
afternoon, or good morning, or good afternoon, whichever it is.
Yes, it is afternoon.
It's the afternoon there, and every folks in the chat, and good to see you. And yeah, it's whenever you're here, we always are one short. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, we're getting into some pretty heavy topics today. So, you know,
That's right.
but yeah, so glad to be here and join you, and kind of huge topics, to talk about. I mean, they're all kind of elephants in the room. Fossil fuel has to do with every other thing.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And we've got an administration who won't let us get at our own fossil fuels, not just oil and natural gas. And we've got coal. We got tons of coal.
Right.
And this president is just standing firm on nope, we're going to do all renewables. We want 0% emissions by what, 2030, 2040?
Yeah, theoretically, which we know will never happen. It's just going to be economic hardship caused by it, and all kinds of uprooting of people's lives if they keep pushing that agenda.
Yep.
And but hopefully, as you stated earlier, that if it does affect, say, really the midterms the way we hope it does, at least that'll be a stopgap, hopefully, in some way. And then hopefully in a couple of years after that gets somebody who will truly act to the level of the office,
Right.
And I'm sure you and everyone else saw Kamala Harris over in Poland, and it was painful. It was really painful to see that cackling again in such a serious situation. Yeah, it was bizarre. And I don't know whether when she doesn't have an answer, she just goes there, or if she's nervous or what that is. But it was truly bizarre. Yeah, like it's some college seminar or something that you just enjoy, teas and cookies afterwards. It's I don't know. It's pretty crazy.
Well, it's a typical liberal tactic, which I've heard for decades on talk show radio. Here in Denver, we had a talk show host, Mike Rosen, and he would get into a back and forth with some liberal caller, and they'll just start that dismissive giggle, and then he has this button that he presses that it goes, "Oh, was that funny?" And he hits this button, and it goes, or you'll do the mad cow laugh. Yeah, yeah, moo!
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, Harris actually does it, and and it's very serious business with the vice president of the United States acting like a kid in that setting is really
Right.
really wild. So, but here we are.
Yep.
And
Yeah, she just doesn't have an answer for it, so she falls back on the dismissive giggle, like, "Oh God, you can't be serious.
right.
What
Yeah.
what a stupid question. Oh God."
Yeah. And the fossil fuel situation, we hear that mentioned a lot on the news, and it's always kind of attributed, even in more conservative news, like because of the Ukraine situation. Yeah, but it's really not because of the Ukraine situation. It's accentuated, but it's because of our domestic situation, self-inflicted wounds, which left a whole lot of temptation for Putin to do what he's doing, and
Right.
knowing that we're going to keep funding coming into them. They're clamping down a little bit now, it seems, but we got to replace that with something. So we got to drill, baby, drill, like we used to say, and
Yep.
we've got it. We just got to get it.
Yep. Yep. And Saki, or Pisaki, however you say it, that idiot, she said, "Well, those companies are sitting on all those leases and they're not doing anything." Well, the reason they're not doing anything is because the burdens with regulations makes it so expensive to drill there, and plus a lot of these leases are unproven leases. If they drilled, there is a possibility it could be a dry well, and that's money that they've wasted.
Right, that's just exploration leases, really,
Right.
and even if they let them loose now, it would take a year to get more oil up and running, but they've already wasted a year and a half of messing it up, so we'd be there. We already were there, and let's hope they have an awakening of some kind, because we're on the way to becoming second rate.
Yeah, it's the same with the Keystone XL pipeline. I mean, there's only a short section that needs to be finished,
right?
And we could be up and running. Hey, we got an extra special guest all the way from Selma, Texas. Let's welcome the tall man in the room. It's Kai.
Howdy.
Hey, good
howdy,
afternoon.
howdy.
Yeah, I had to take a minute and get stuff ready here on my end.
Yeah.
I took my desk apart sort of this morning.
Oh.
Yeah.
Rearranging the furniture, so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, we need a lot of that done,
Yep.
And so how are things down there, Kai? What are you paying for gas this week?
Last time I'd get gas for $3.29 a gallon.
Yeah.
But I've got this fuel rewards thing going on with Shell, and I managed the 50 cents off a gallon at that point. So
okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Here in the Denver metro area, it's around $3.79, $3.89. Yeah. And diesel is well over $4.
Yeah, diesel.
How about you, Mike?
I filled up this week. I think it was Tuesday, $4.40 for unleaded regular.
Wow.
And that's New York State for you. Give it, it's not house.
Yep.
And and then the prices go up from there, the premium and diesel and everything else. So it's ridiculous, and it isn't going to help things. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So
The
truckers got to
sad
fill
thing
up those
is,
trucks. I'm sorry.
New York is sitting on a bunch of shale oil right there, especially along the Pennsylvania border. New York won't allow companies to frack.
Right.
So
It's called the
there's nobody,
Marcellus.
no wells in New York.
Right. They just, and we have it. We have natural gas, you know,
Mhm.
and I think it's called the Marcellus shale deposits.
Yes.
That whole section. And I'm actually on it, part of it, where it kind of ends in New York State, and it goes well down into Pennsylvania, like you said. And it's literally shale. The ground is shale rock, not even that far deep in. So, but you know, it's blue as blue states come, unfortunately. And don't blame me. I just live here.
Start going out in the backyard, start digging.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, if I had a pick, man, I might hit it myself, but it's crazy. It's think about that.
Guess you're like every other homeowner that doesn't have mineral rights for the property he owns.
Right. Well, you know, it's just again more self-inflicted wounds by this state. Is, you know, I don't, you know, it's hard to understand the Cuomo's and this new governor we have, Hochul, what goes through their head, because it isn't logic, you know.
It's all about control.
It's logic to them because it lines their pocket in some shape, form, or fashion.
All right. Yeah, the pockets of unknown people or semi-known, Pelosi's friends, you name it. A lot of people's pockets are personally getting lined, for sure. So, but
and New Mexico has a large oil deposit over there, especially over on the eastern edge of the state.
Yeah.
And in Colorado, we're on the Nobara, you know, I guess oil, not oil shale, but dome or something. But we got a fairly good size deposit of oil here, and our governor put all anti-oil people on the state board, and they put up roadblocks and restrictions on these oil companies, so they're not exploring, they're not drilling new wells, and they're capping a lot of wells that are marginally producing, and that's about it. And several companies have already gone out of business.
Right. And it isn't just about our gas tanks. That's one aspect, which does hurt people's wallets bad. But, you know, right down to a loaf of bread that has to be, you know, fertilized and harvested and baked, transported, put in plastic bags. Everything is petroleum stops along the way. And that's, you know, ergo we have inflation that we haven't seen in, I think it's even worse than it was in the early 80s right now.
Yeah.
So it's pretty scary, man.
Yeah, it sure is. And then we have the Bakken field up in North Dakota. They say it has bigger reserves than all the countries in the Middle East.
Right. Yeah, supposedly we have, I think you guys correct me, but an estimated at least 100 years worth of oil and natural gas right underneath, you know, the U.S. and Alaska. And especially when you throw in Canada in that mix too, you know, pipe that down. So it's nuts.
Yeah.
It should be at least
what does a guy have to do to get wrenched around here?
Get a what?
Oh, wrench. Okay.
To get wrenched around here.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Get smurfed.
There you go. You get a wrench. You get a wrench. You get a wrench.
Art hasn't fully vetted you yet, Kai.
There you go.
Yeah.
Working now?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't have the YouTube
Yes.
feed up.
Oh, yep. There we go. I've been smurfed.
Yep.
But and yeah, and of course, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Our president, he's begging the sheikhs in the Middle East, and it's gotten to a point where they're not returning his calls.
Yeah.
Yep. And
that.
we're even going down to Venezuela and begging for their oil. But they got everything so screwed up down there, they can't increase their production because all their machinery is screwed up.
Yeah.
That's what socialism will do to you.
Yeah. Well, we're headed there at the course we're on now, and it's it's nuts, man. We need this election to be run properly. That's what concerns me is there'll be another reason for weird voting or voting month or whatever to try and pull that stuff again. Yep. But otherwise, the Democrats should take a bath, and then hopefully
it's all about equity, Mike.
Oh yeah, equity. Yeah, that's just so crazy, and
not equality, but equity.
Right. It's amazing how they conflate those words. People don't listen hard enough to hear that a lot. But man, it's nuts, and going. The United States of America going hat in hand to Iran and to Venezuela, begging for oil is just. It's really a really low point.
And next Saturday, I will be at the county assembly doing my part to promote candidates to get on the ballot in November. So that'll be interesting. This will be for county seats such as county coroner, the sheriff, county commissioners, what else? Oh, assessors and county clerk. And that's right down at the bottom rung there, and that's where everything gets started. That and city councils, and if you could get on a board in a city, like I was on a open space advisory board for a couple years. And, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about.
I don't believe anyone in law enforcement should be in an elected position.
And it's different in each state.
I mean, in the state of Texas, you don't even have to be a certified peace officer to become sheriff.
Nope.
You get elected sheriff, you got 2 years to get your what they call a T-close license. But yeah, you don't need any prior knowledge of anything. Just get yourself elected.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure about that here in New York, although our sheriff is elected.
Same with judges. How can a judge be impartial if he runs on a political ticket?
Right.
I think they run as nonpartisan, just like city council races. Which I know it doesn't make sense to me either. I mean, everybody has an affiliation of one sort or another, whether it's Democrat, the Green, Socialist, Libertarian, American Constitutional.
And so many judges, especially locally, so many judges and lawyers and people in the courtrooms, they all know each other anyway. They're all part of the bar association. They have dinner parties together, and then they adjudicate, law during the day. and you'd hope that'd be unbiased and no good old boy network or whatever, but it is what it is. It's left up to human beings, so it's imperfect.
If you guys ever watch Steve Leto,
Yeah, I watch him once in a while.
He's got some really hair-raising stuff at times.
Yep, he sure does.
Like this judge that got himself in trouble for berating a police officer when he got pulled over while on his cell phone.
Oh.
He played this, do you know who I am card right off the bit, and just kept going from there. He didn't like the answer from the police officer, so he called the chief of police and then called the mayor's office, and everybody knew about this already. Well, now, for a second helping, he got busted for shoplifting at Walmart.
Oh,
for the second time. And he actually went, from what I understand, he went and scanned all his shit through at the self-checkout, put it in the cart, never paid for it, and walked off.
Wow.
So what did he
in the back was, and the stop loss, or the loss prevention officer at Walmart already knew who he was. I know that guy. I know who that is.
Mm-hmm.
How did he play it? Like, I forgot about that item?
Yeah, that's what he done the first time. Oh, I forget. I'll be right down there and pay for it.
Right.
Yeah. Mm.
But now there's some judicial investigation commission looking at him, so.
Chris must have watched that same video.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I'm going to look that up.
Well, we had a similar situation here in Denver where the mayor's son got pulled over. And his son says, "Don't you know who I am?" Yeah.
That with body cams, that's not the thing to say anymore.
Yeah.
I've got
I'm Mayor Hancock's son.
Huh?
Yeah, he said, "I'm the mayor's son."
The cops in my family all love the body cams because it usually gets them. It proves that they didn't do anything wrong 99% of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, it's we can affect things on a local level, but right now things are in the world are just out of control.
Yeah, they suck.
Well, down there in Houston, a bunch of judges got defeated in their election because they were soft on crime. They were giving out recognizance bail instead of having them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well, down in Corpus Christi, it's the same thing. I mean, anything that has to do with Mary J is like a misdemeanor now, so they don't want to even prosecute that stuff anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Same here in Colorado. They made possession of fentanyl a misdemeanor. Right. And we just had 5 people die of fentanyl overdose because they bought some cocaine that was laced with fentanyl. Yeah. And it doesn't take much fentanyl to kill you.
Yeah, no, that fentanyl comes out of China and gets mixed into the drugs that come in out of Mexico.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention the people that are coming through the southern border, and you would know as much about that guy as anyone else. But you guys in the border states, and although it's way too many people, and again, the administration's doing nothing to stop it, and then secretly flying them all over the country, which, you know, God knows who these people are, and they're not going to show up for court. And
oh, I know. I actually worked in a jailhouse that had a contract with the INS to hold detainees. Yeah. I mean, why would any judge release somebody on his word that he actually show up for his court date?
Man.
That already entered the country without declaring himself in any shape or form. Sure.
Yeah. And it's crazy that, you know, Mickey just mentioned the Democratic Party is right now. I don't care what letter any politician has behind their name. If we have good Democrats that have common sense, great. You know, it's like we need just adults right now, you know, things. So, but you know, between our border, the energy situation, all around inflation, lack of workforce, and a true land war happening in Europe right now, man, it hasn't been this nuts since really the Cold War, you know.
Yeah, well, we're right back in the middle of that.
Yeah,
that's right. This is almost reminiscent.
Plenty of people that disagree with me on that, but no, we're right back in the Cold War.
Yeah, right.
You know, I thought in '89 all that shit was over with when the wall came down, and
yeah, right. We thought they had the freedom dividend or whatever it was called then, and you know, for a while that lasted, but then that honeymoon ended, and Russia went through a few leaders there, like they were at the time. Who was the drunk guy that was drunk all the time?
Boris Yeltsin.
Yeltsin. And then finally Gorbachev came along to be able to deal with, even though he's a socialist communist at heart anyway.
Well, Gorbachev was actually the last communist leader, and then when
Yeltsin took over from Gorbachev.
Yeltsin took over, and then there was an attempted coup by the generals that wanted to reinstall the communists, but that only lasted a couple of days, and Russia, well,
that's exactly what's happening right now.
And then all these republics that used to, like Ukraine was Ukraine SSR, Kazakhstan, all those republics, they broke away, and then later on there was the Russian Federation, where all those stand countries became part of the Federation.
Right.
Yep. All except Ukraine and Belarus and the Baltic.
I mean, what I find funny is, you know, these big companies that just pulled all out of Russia, like McDonald's saying they're going to lose out on $50 million worth of profits. I kind of doubt that.
Right.
I kind of doubt that they're missing out on anything, because if the ruble is down as far as what JB said there, they're not going to be making any money.
Yep.
Because they're not going to be able to jack up the prices fast enough to compensate for the inflation that they got going on in that country.
Yeah,
that's right.
So you're not gonna make money in an economy where the inflation is 100%.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
right.
And that's basically what it boils down to. You know, the ruble got so devalued that, you know, what cost 1 ruble yesterday is 10 ruble today.
Yeah. No, getting into Weimar Republic territory, you know. And
we need a wheelbarrow of rubles.
Same thing here. I mean,
right.
I know groceries are about 15% up across the board. Fuel is up 100%.
Yeah.
From where we were 2 years ago.
Right. And these, symbolic.
I mean, we had the whole COVID thing happen at the time too, but I remember getting gas for $1 a gallon during COVID.
Right. But even after COVID,
$4 a gallon.
Even coming out of COVID, at the end of the Trump administration, it was going back up due to a little activity, but not anything like now. Now it's a totally different thing. It's not organic, price going up because of more use of it. It's shooting ourselves in the foot via Biden and, just skyrocketing fuel prices and everything else from there. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, like Mike says, one mistake, accidental or intentional, and it goes hot, very hot. And
Very hot,
we're already seeing that on the Polish border.
Right.
They were reporting missile strikes within 80 clicks of the Polish border. That's about 60 miles. That's a ways to go yet, but
yeah. Right. I
mean, they bombed that children's hospital in Mariupol.
Yeah, well, that's just a low blow, period. But now one of those missiles get lost over the Polish border, and now we got a strike on NATO.
Yeah. Yeah,
and NATO ain't gonna hold their feet still for too long at that point.
Right, and then if the Russians do get a complete control and subjugate the Ukraine, which should be very difficult, but if they were, then we have missile to
there's no way
NATO territory.
There's no way Russia can win this thing anymore.
It doesn't look that way. Militarily,
there's no way. I mean, they've already
keep it.
I mean, everybody done decided this was, a blatant idiocracy of the Russians to even try to go on to Ukraine. By the time this is done with, I mean, I hate to say it, there's not going to be any left in the Ukraine.
Right.
Or anybody for that matter.
Yeah, they're already fleeing into
the only thing you have at that point is the natural resources that Ukraine is full of.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then you got to get all that and all the infrastructure being toast. That's not going to do you any good.
Right.
They were banking on the Ukraine just rolling over and letting them go.
Yeah. Right. It looks like clearly they're not doing that. So what do they do?
Now he can't back out to not look like an ass with his own people. So he's kind of caught between a rock and a hard spot.
Right. And you wonder what
his own people are getting awful nervous now. Now that they're getting all their shit's getting seized.
Putin might resort to, because I don't think he'll go nuclear, because he'll never be able to be a player on the world stage again. Not purposely go nuclear. I mean, that would be a deal breaker in terms of any economic activity.
Even if he does go nuclear, I mean, the response going to be nuclear.
Right.
I mean, there's no good outcome to this. Period.
Right. But they keep hinting at that, and I just don't see that happening.
He keeps saying, "No, we got nukes. We got nukes." The problem is nobody on our side says, "Hey, so do we," and ours are a bit more precise than yours.
Right. Well, the administration is playing the not ratchet it up right now, but I just don't see. It seems to be an empty threat, but then again, who knows at this point? Anything can happen. Like you said, accidentally or on purpose.
Hey, Robert. Good to see you.
Hey, Robert.
Thanks for coming in.
And,
Also, we have the
I
Russian.
just can't stand was JB standing there at the State of the Union saying that he had to get everybody in sync in Europe. Now Europe's already plenty in sync. He didn't. They got him on with it, and not the other way around.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the shit that he claims that he got all the allies lined up. Yeah, he ain't done shit.
Right. Yeah, he's more
The German government already stood up and said that Nord Stream 2 is dead before Biden ever got out of bed that day.
Yeah. No, I don't know. It's
and they're actually actively working on shutting the old Nord Stream pipeline down too.
Well, Europe's got to get its energy from somewhere, so hopefully we can step up, but no one's talking that way.
Yep. Or they could bring back some of those nuclear plants that they shut down.
Right.
Well, the ones that are shut down, if they already got the material out of them, there's no way to you can't just fire those things up again.
Yeah, right, that would be a major process to do.
But you know, and I know they want to shut down, but I'm sure whatever material they got in those still has plenty left in it to where they could just say, okay, you know, yeah, we're going to shut it down. We're just going to postpone it and use up the material that's actually on site.
Yep.
And I don't know exactly where they're at. I mean, they might have already said, okay, our material runs out at that point, and then we'll just have to shut down. So I don't know what the exact status is on those facilities. And,
right.
You know, that's information they don't readily release either.
Right. But even as lay people, we can say it's not like starting up an old car. I mean, that is a years-long process, it would seem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to take a little more than stick a new battery and some fresh gas into it.
Right.
Yep. Or a new alternator.
Yeah.
Hey, Robert.
But I have heard on one news story, Kai, that on private land in Texas, that they're really trying to ramp up as much oil processing as possible. You know, where it's not federal land, where the administration can't stop the permits.
I don't know that we have that much federal land in Texas anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's good that, you know, thank God for, you know, Texas being an oil state.
Well, we've got, I mean, you get these poor ranchers that, you know, they have those wind generators sitting in their pastures, and then in between the wind generators, you see the oil pumps going.
Yep.
And then, you know, in between all that, they're still running their cattle.
Right.
So must be a tough gig being a rancher.
Yeah.
Even though one of the issues was these wind generators, they only have a shelf life like 25 years.
Right.
And then they got to come down.
Yep.
That's the one thing you don't hear about these so-called green or renewable energies is on the back end. Solar panels have a lifespan. Wind generators have a lifespan. And
the blades are made of fiberglass, so there's no reusing any of that.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, the main body is steel, so you could melt that down and reuse it. I'm sure there's plenty of copper and other stuff in the actual turbine head.
Right.
That's reusable, but they just shred those props and dig a big hole and bury them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's we have them up here too, but they're not doing a whole heck of a lot, really.
Yeah, no, you go up around Sweetwater, Texas. That's like the wind energy capital of Texas. there's like 4 or 5 parks, side by side. There's thousands of these wind generators. Had a bone in it?
Huh?
Did it have a bone in it?
Not anymore. But anyway, enough of energy policy, huh? With it's I wish we could do something about it.
Yep. And we got so many regulations on, opening up or building new power plants or refineries, oil refineries.
Right.
We haven't built a new oil refinery since the 70s.
No. We're building oil refineries up and down the coast here. I know that for a fact.
No, good.
I know there's plenty of infrastructure being built between Corpus and Houston, right up and down the coast.
Literal infrastructure, like old school infrastructure, not what they mean nowadays, like internet and all that stuff.
No. Like pipes and plants and everything.
Okay.
Tanks. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sunk over $1 billion into the coastal area.
Yeah.
Great.
There are capacities opening up. If they didn't already.
I wish it was in every state though, because it's like up here, we pay all this gas tax and tax. It's supposed to in an ongoing sense, maintain the roads, this, that, and the other, and we constantly need these infrastructure bills, so to speak, that never really get used for infrastructure. And
that's because they get switched over into entitlement program,
right? And sweetheart deals and stuff like that. Yeah. Look at the West Coast with the water problems. I mean, build a few more reservoirs every few decades, and you might mitigate that a bit.
So we're some completely change the subject, but what the hell happened to Lloyd? Where the hell is he at?
Oh, he's taking care of Judy. She had cataract surgery.
Yeah, but she don't want to see him.
Yeah, I thought it was a Rinkin. What is that?
I mean, if she can actually see again, she might just send his butt down the road.
Lloyd would be the first one to agree with you.
I know he would.
Right. There we go. Delayed rim shot.
And right now he can't even now he can't even say anything because he ain't here. So we really can't be dogging on him.
But yeah, hopefully that goes well. I love driving through West Texas.
Yep.
Yeah, nice.
Well, it's not just in West Texas. You smell in East Texas too. Down here by Luling, you drive down that I-10, you smell it big time.
Yeah. Well.
All right, gentlemen, but I gotta peel back out of here.
Okay.
I've got some errands to run.
All right. Well, thanks for popping in.
For some reason, these packages won't return themselves, so I'm gonna have to get off my butt and do it myself.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, Kai. Well, good to see you, man.
Take care, Kai.
Good seeing you guys too. Thanks for having me. Y'all take care.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
All righty. Now I can finally get a word in. So now the Russians are talking about chemical weapons. They're saying, no, they're going to use chemical weapons and biological weapons on it.
Yeah.
And Putin's saying, "Oh, Ukraine, that's not a real country. That's just a manufactured country." Well, every country was manufactured. I mean, look
Right.
at Germany wasn't even a country until the 1870s. Before that, it was just a bunch of principalities that were
Right.
all fighting amongst themselves. And who was it? Was it Bismarck? I think it was Bismarck that got them all together to unite as one united country. I think it was called Prussia back then.
Right. Now, borders are changing constantly, really. I mean, look at our map of our country wasn't finalized till the end of World War II. With the Alaska and Hawaii becoming states.
Yep.
So it's an ever-changing thing. But man, we just don't need this situation right now. And and it's become, like you mentioned, the chemical weapons thing or bio. We even talk of biological labs in the Ukraine, and so much of this right now would kind of go under the heading of information warfare or misinformation warfare. Being that everything is so instantaneous nowadays, with social media and stuff, both sides are using social media in a tactical sense, to get their version of what's happening out there or whatever, and it's very, very, I think, unique to this war, even more so than the Gulf War.
I want to say hello to Michael Toto of Fly Zone Drone. Welcome. Good to have you.
Yeah, good to see everybody. I see Jim Beauchart was in here earlier too.
Uncle Extra Medium. Yep.
Yeah.
And you got to remember, Ukraine, that's been parts of other countries. Like at one time, it was part of the Polish-Lithuanian Confederation, and then after that, the western part was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and the eastern part was part of Russia.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until after World War One that it became an independent country for a short time, and then the Soviets took over and absorbed them, and they didn't become a republic until after World War II. Then it became Ukrainian SSR,
Right.
And they became independent just before the Soviet Empire fell apart. I think it was like a week before the Soviet Union dissolved.
Right. Yeah, at that point you could feel it in the air. The fact that the Cold War, as we knew it then, was coming down, and Russia, the USSR was going to be dissolved. But unfortunately, those people who wish for the USSR, they're still there. They're a bit older. Putin appears to be a classic example of an old, supposedly KGB guy who, he didn't all of a sudden wake up and become a nice guy one day. So, and then you do a calculation on how weak is the world, just the same way Adolf Hitler did back in the 1939, and you invade Poland and or invade the Ukraine. What's the world going to do? You look at the powers out there, and you've got Biden in the White House. What's to stop them? Now, apparently, they're having a little trouble. But we're gonna have to see how that goes.
Yep. And there's even plans to invade Moldova, which is on the western border that's in between Ukraine and I believe Romania.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I guess the president of Belarus made a big boo-boo by having a televised meeting with his generals saying, here's the plan for the invasion of Moldova. And he had the big map up on the pedestal, and he had his little pointer, and
yeah. Yeah, it's again, with these images coming out in 24-hour news cycles now on many cable outlets, not just CNN anymore, like back in the 90s. And it's we're constantly bombarded with the daily briefing, so to speak, and it's hard to decipher what to believe, not only from the reporters, because they do such an amateur job, but from the ones they're getting information from, or misinformation, or whatever you want to call it, But I mean, it is crazy.
You're right, Mickey. It was that did happen, and it was also in the 50s that Khrushchev gave Crimea to the Ukrainians, because that's where Khrushchev was from. He's a Ukrainian,
Okay,
but I think he's ethnically Russian though.
Yeah.
And Crimea used to be dominant with Tartars, and while Stalin was alive, he moved those people to I think the Urals and replaced them with ethnic Russians and Ukrainians. So that's how Russia was able to control the population by moving them around the country or moving them to Siberia, and then the ethnic Russians could take over that country and become part of the Russia. I want to say hello to Mike at Texas Art Drone Guy.
Yeah, Mike.
Welcome. Good to see you.
And always good to see Chris Wedgeworth there too. Yeah. And, but anyway, man, it's $4.40 a gallon for gas up here right now.
Wow.
And that was just Tuesday, and I've heard it's gone up a bit. So even like at Costco and places like that, people are paying close to that. Those one places usually get a discount.
Right.
Get a membership. So
crazy.
And, it doesn't surprise me in New York, but man, it's hitting every state in the union.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just saw somewhere where Michigan is they want to suspend the gas tax. I mean, yeah, it'll lower the price, but what's going to happen when all of this is over? They're going to jack the price back up with the tax. So, really a wash. It's not going to do much. They're talking about doing the same thing here in Colorado.
Yeah, there's talk of it here too, locally at least, capping the gas tax at a certain point. I mean, that's a fine little Band-Aid, but the problem is the price, right now, and the taxes. I mean, taxes are way too high.
Right.
But of course they're built into the price. You don't have them broken down in front of you. So most people don't really know what they're paying in gas tax per gallon.
Mike says it's $4 a gallon there. Wow. Well, we're getting pretty close here in Denver.
Yeah.
I haven't seen gas this high since 2008.
Right.
Yeah. And this is going to affect the economy because a lot of companies are going to see their energy costs go up, and that'll cut into their profits. I mean, they'll have to raise prices, and it'll get to a point where people are buying less and less of that item, and the companies start seeing their revenues decline, and then they'll start laying off people.
Right, bona fide recession is a real possibility, and you know, I don't even. How do we even avoid it right now? You know.
Well, the only way that we could tackle it is by raising interest rates.
Yeah.
So if you own a home, you better get that refi in right away.
Yeah. Yep. I hope you don't have an adjustable rate.
Yeah.
Like some people, you know, sign on for them not knowing what they're signing on for, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah.
Yeah, and it'll hit the manufacturing sector first, and then those companies will start laying off their workers, and it's just going to cause a ripple effect where the GDP starts going down, 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 and if you have 2 consecutive quarters where you have 0 or minus GDP growth, that's technically a recession.
No. Right, and then coming off of COVID, which I hope to God we are truly coming off of.
You know, hear what TSA did?
No.
It extended the mask mandate for airlines.
Extended it, huh?
Yeah, it's going till April 18th. It was going to end in March, and I was thinking, yay, I could go to Florida and not wear a damn mask on the plane. And now I got to wear a mask.
Well, just drink a beer and you won't have to wear it. Go first class.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they have that on Frontier. Yeah, I'm flying down there on Frontier, and I'm coming back on Delta because they canceled my flight coming back. So I had to scramble to get another flight, and so I found Delta, and I'm not getting dinged too badly on it.
Yeah.
But
instead
of going all the way to Philadelphia, I'm just going to Atlanta, then home.
Okay. He'll just be a couple hundred miles south of me down there, down in Philly, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, it's you know, flying, as you know, you can get on and off a plane fairly easily, you know, in the sense you can at least walk on and get your crutches put away and get a seat. And for me, it's, you know, in my situation, flying's a nightmare. And
I bet.
You know, I'm not a small guy, so when they put you on those straight back chairs, I'm sure you've seen them, and tilt you back like a refrigerator and pull you down the aisle, you're banging your knees into seats and other people, and then you got to get over into the seat. It's crazy, and they're not very helpful, you know. But it is what it is. Otherwise, I'd be meeting you guys down there in Florida. You know.
Well,
get a
if gas wasn't so expensive, you could drive down there.
Yeah. Then that's extra days heading down and stuff, you know. It's be at least a 2-3 day drive for me, you know, to pull that off. So
I'm going to the assembly on Saturday, and then the next one is the Congressional Assembly, which is, I don't know why they did it this way. It's the day before the State Assembly, which is on a Saturday, and it's down in Colorado Springs. And I am not going to drive down to Colorado Springs just to come back and drive back down. well, I could get a hotel room, but that it's going to be in the morning. I can't take a day off on a Friday to
Right.
go to that assembly. But the Saturday assembly, I think I'm going down with Rick and Linda Enstrom, and we'll go down there, and hopefully this time Rick won't fall off the freaking stage like last time, where I think he broke his leg when he fell off the stage.
Oh wow.
Because it was one of the Senate candidates, brought up his people that were supporting him. And I think he was, because Rick is a pretty tall guy. Not as tall as Kai, but he's like 6'2". So he tried to move around the back of the group, and it was dark back there, and he took a step back and he fell backwards and broke his leg.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank God that's all he hurt. You could really get hurt that way. Basically.
So I had to get a ride with someone else back from Colorado Springs. Oh man.
Oh, man. Well.
So I'll bring some video equipment with me, and I'll videotape it and do a video about, hey, this is how we do our assembly, where we listen to all the candidates bloviate, and if it's just one candidate, then they go on to the general election. But if there's a primary, then they go on. Well, take that back. They have to surpass the 10% threshold to get on the ballot. If they get less than 10%, then they'd have to petition onto the primary ballot, which is a lot of work. Depending on which race you're running for. If you're running for Senate and you don't meet the 10% threshold and you decide to petition on, that means you gotta go all over the state to get enough petitions signed to get you onto the ballot.
Yeah. You're enrolled in the party? Because I re-registered a couple of years ago, just unaffiliated.
Okay.
Because it's like I haven't got much faith in either party per se.
Right.
So just kind of.
Well, here in Colorado, unaffiliates can vote in either one of the parties'
The primaries.
They can only do one. They can't do the other ones.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
So that's how it's done here, and so I'm a delegate to both, the county and the state assembly. So I gotta sit around and listen to all these people go blah blah blah. Vote for me. I'll give you, chicken and every pot, right, and all that bloviation and
free stuff. Free stuff.
And then you get a ballot and you just check it off. Okay, here's that for that that part or that race. Whether it's a state race, then it's everybody in that assembly is voting for the candidate. Now, if it's a county assembly, you go to your state house, and then you go to all the delegates that are there for that state house race, and then you fill out the ballots for those candidates.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Joey, I think we'll easily win in the midterms. I think we'll take back both houses. Impeaching Biden, you can't impeach the vice president. You can only impeach well, I don't know. I'd have to. I don't know. Can you impeach the vice president?
Hard to say, and
yeah,
I mean,
I'd have to
he's
find
so
out.
unprecedented. You know what I mean? And you know, leave it to the Republicans to get all chicken when they get in there. You know, I hope that doesn't happen this time around. You know, if we can have similar people to when we in '94 with the contract with America, which there is no real contract with America right
and
now.
that's the deal. Kevin McCarthy really doesn't have a plan. Period.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the thing that worries. I just hope if we get the majority back, I hope McCarthy doesn't get the leadership role.
Right.
Hopefully they pick somebody else that actually has a vision and a plan to move this country along like Newt Gingrich did.
Right. Yeah, he was terrific, and the class of Congress people that went in with him were terrific. But that was
they were
30 years ago.
Unless you were Kasich, who turned out to be a rhino later on.
Yeah.
They were all conservatives until they left office, and then they run for governor. And oh boy.
Yeah. Well.
Alrighty. Yeah, Jim Jordan would be a good leader. Yep, that's right, Joey.
I hope he would. You know what I mean? Because they got to get ready to do something if they do take power, and not just pose and be the outraged opposition. You know, it's
right.
You got to be ready to do something. And there's a lot of posers right now. Even Jordan, sometimes, you know, it's always the blue shirt with the rolled up sleeves and his kind of costume that he wears. You know, it's the same thing every time. And it's like, well, that's great. You know, we know you're hard at work, but if you get power, use it, because they sure are on the other side.
Well, speaking of power, we've used up a lot of power in a little over an hour, and I want to thank everybody in the chat for coming along and listening to us. Hey, spread the word out there. Let's get some more people interested in this channel. Let's grow this channel. We're right now at 188 subscribers. Let's get that to 200 or 500 would be great. If we could really grow this channel, then later on we could get sponsorships. One channel that's really good, it's called Red Eagle Publications, or they got a YouTube channel that's really good, and they do surveys of maps of what states are going to get flipped blue, or what states are going to be red in the midterm elections, and even the gubernatorial elections. So take care, everybody, and have a great Sunday. God bless, and catch you next time.
Okay, bye, everybody.